Howdy, everybody. I hope you all had a terrific weekend. Surprised to see a lot of people already here. Scatty Nona, good evening. Amelia, Gemma, Mel, Janice, welcome everybody. Lori Sutton, welcome. I hope we all had a terrific weekend. Make sure I turn the audio up. Hold on, it's gonna be a beep. Gonna be a beep. There you go. Gary Ridgway, the Green River Killer. Howdy, Pigeon Mac. Welcome to tonight's trivia. Gemma, welcome. Samantha Mustard McDowell. Good evening and welcome to tonight's True Crime Trivia. We are talking about the Green River Killer, Gary Ridgway, tonight. Gary Ridgway. This is yet another viewer suggestion like all the others. Tried to put together trivia questions that, that people want to, take part in. Rackart, good evening. You emailed me? All right. I will have a chance to check that right after this stream tonight, Gemma. Mel, I'm doing great. Hot, but I'm doing great. Trying to find my note on Ridgway. I had it here. Oh, there it is. Green River Killer, Ted Bundy. So that was a viewer suggestion. So some of the questions do have something to do with Gary Ridgway and Ted Bundy, because that was the actual suggestion. But most of the questions tonight have to do with just Gary Ridgway himself. Okay, there's no rush. I wanted to let you know is all. Well, thank you. Give it about another 2 minutes and 10 seconds, and we'll get this party started. Before we actually get into the first questions tonight, I'm going to show you a couple of slides of how the actual trivia itself is changing just slightly. We're adding some new features to it along the way to make it a little bit more enjoyable, I hope, for everyone. So you'll know not only where the questions come from that are on the trivia, but you also know how difficult they are, how often they're answered correctly, along with a couple other features. But we'll get into that. You missed Saturday morning? Well, catch next Saturday. Right, Cart? Good evening, Tammy. Another minute and 10 seconds. We're going to get started. I don't know how the weather is for everybody else's, but here it is 98 degrees and sunny. Surprise, surprise. But that's pretty normal for this time of year, temperature-wise. The closer we get to the month of August, the hotter it gets. About the middle of next month, just about every day will be in triple digits. Nighttime drops down into low 40s at night. Is it just me, or do serial killers look like they're profoundly constipated? Yeah. Juju, positive, good evening. Welcome. 72 where Juju is. It's great where Mel is. Well, maybe there's something to that constipation and being a serial killer. All right. I'll get the first slide up here and get myself my little box. All right. Here we go. So I'm going to go over the additions of what's changing each and every week on trivia night. So the first slide, as you can see, every week you'll have a picture on the screen, a small miniaturized picture of the actual perpetrator itself. And then in the box itself, it says, here you will see if this is the YouTube community question of the week. Now, for Gary Ridgway, I had one question that I posted, and every week I'm going to post it on Monday. It's a trivia question that is multiple choice that is on the community tab about the actual subject matter. And then underneath the actual picture of the perpetrator, you will see a ranking between 0 and 10, 10 being the most difficult. And then at the bottom of the actual, underneath the multiple choice questions, you will see accreditation if this actual question has appeared on another trivia channel or a trivia live stream within the past 12 months. Now, I had to make a cut off at 12 months, and because there are a lot of channels that used to stream very heavily and do a lot of trivia nights, but they have since stopped doing trivia, but only within the last 12 months. Now, additionally, there are some websites you can find online where you Google crime trivia or Ted Bundy trivia, and they don't actually give a date when the trivia question was posted, so you don't know when it was actually posted. So I had to eliminate those. I'm talking about just channels that are on either Reddit, YouTube, Discord, or Twitch, or something along that line where they actually streamed the actual trivia itself. All right, next one. Every Monday before trivia, like I said, you'll see a bonus question in the YouTube community tab. Now, anybody can take part in it. You don't even have to be a subscriber to my YouTube channel. You don't even have to like me. These are questions, an additional bonus question. And once you've guessed on one of the possible answers, it will then highlight the correct answer or tell you if you got it correct. But so you get 5.5 days to notice on what each and every week is going to be the next trivia subject matter is going to be. All right, and then there's where the ranking of talking about 0 to 10, with 10 being the hardest. The trivia questions are based on the answers, amount of people who got them correct on either King Trivia or Merle Entertainment Trivia, which is a live pub style trivia game that is done in bars, restaurants, and places like that. And you get a little desktop thing, and you can play trivia with other people in the establishment and online. But that's where the ranking actually comes from. All right. Here is and you'll see here it says YouTube community trivia question. This is the first question for tonight. Which branch of the U.S. military did Gary Ridgway serve in? Was it the Marine Corps, Army, Navy, or Air Force? Hi, Purple. Welcome. Tammy, I have not done Rodney Alclay, the dating game killer, but I will write it down. Thank you for the suggestion. Rodney Alclay. Dating game killer. Yeah, and by the way, in case you, little side note on Rodney Alclay, the girl who young woman who won the date, picked Rodney out, she never actually went out on a date with him. My husband knows. only have B and C, and Tammy is, I'm going with C. Rackard C. Pigeon Mac B. Purple C. But YouTube just started offering that with the community tab, so I'm incorporating it with the community tab and a trivia question in 5.5 days beforehand. So you kind of get your mind wrapped around, well, this coming Sunday, hey, I wonder what the trivia questions are going to be about. Maybe you can read up on it. Maybe it'll pique your interest. You'll want to look into it more. Or maybe you won't be interested in it at all. I'm like, I can skip next Sunday's trivia because I really don't care about Rodney Alclay or whoever it might be. That was one woman in tune with her instincts. My dad taught me to screw being polite, follow your instincts. That's a good thing. Follow your women's intuition. In a lot of situations, if you get that gut feeling that tells you something isn't right here. I don't think that in the interview that I saw with the lady, young woman who won the date with Rodney, I think she didn't. The reason why they never went out on a date was because, all right, first off, it was in the middle of his actual, killing spree, but that wasn't the reason. It was their schedules just didn't match up or something. But hopefully, at the same time, she didn't go the extra mile to go out on a date with him because she had some kind of intuition about it. All right, question number 1. What branch of the U.S. military did Gary Ridgway serve in? The correct answer to question 1 is C, as in cat, the United States Navy. He joined the United States Navy in 1969, right after high school, and he served in the United States Navy until 1973 when he was discharged and he went back home. Now, Rodney was not Rodney, but Gary was already up to no good by that point. Because he had already been visiting prostitutes. He had already beaten a prostitute because he said later on, if this is even true at all, the reason why he did it was because he felt that she was trying, or she tried to rob him or steal his money, and he didn't get the service that he wanted or paid for. It all depends on if you really believe what the serial killer. Was he telling the truth? All right, going on to question number 2. Robert Hansen is another one that astonishes me. We will never know his actual death count. Robert Hansen. So I'm going to write Robert Hansen down as well because I haven't done a lot of research on Robert lately. All right, question number 2. Catching a true psychopath isn't as simple as catching other criminals. The FBI and state police needed help. Not only catching Gary, they needed help understanding him. Who helped them catch Gary Ridgway? Was it A, a web sleuth from Dallas, Texas? B, a serial killer on death row? C, a former short order cook from New York City? Or D, a former police officer from Boston? Never heard of Robert Hansen? Mel? Ooh. Robert is not, well, I mean, he's a serial killer, first off. Robert Hansen. Born Robert Christian Hansen, February 15th, 1939 to August 21st, 2014. Known in the media as the Butcher Baker Killer, was an American serial killer. Most of his victims were between the ages of 17 and 21. He raped a whole lot more women than he killed. But Robert Hansen, the Butcher Baker Killer. Yeah, that was a good movie. B, Ted Bundy, says Mel. B, and Tammy B, question mark? Robert Hansen. It was definitely one of those truly horrific individuals. It was a sport to him. And you'll notice underneath the actual picture itself, where it says 3/10, this is rated 3 out of 10. The higher the number, closer to 10, the harder the question is. Supposedly, according to the group, those two different trivia sites. 3 out of 10. I have to read up on this guy. Mel, you should. If I wouldn't, probably do it in the morning, not at night. He was one scary dude. Sixth Sense Amelia is going to guess B. All right. Question number 2. The correct answer is B, as in boy. As Purple pointed out, it was Ted Bundy. Good old Teddy from Death Row helped the FBI not only catch Gary Ridgway, but he helped them understand what makes Gary Ridgway special, different from other serial killers. And you can't pigeonhole, a lot of serial killers. People want to put them in a box and say, look, they just killed a lot of people, or they hunted this way, or they killed this way, and put them in boxes that way. When it comes to serial killers, they can't be, classified like this is, just this type of serial killer or that type of serial killer. And Gary Ridgway is one of the most unique individuals because of who he was in society and what he actually did. And you're going to learn some more about him tonight, hopefully. Okay, get my thing over the other screen here. Here we go. Question number 3. Gary Ridgway still has deep hatred for his mother, Mary Ridgway. Which one below is what he fantasized about doing to her only because he was sexually attracted to her? Was it A, stabbing her in the heart, B, hanging her, C, setting her on fire, or D, raping and shooting her? And the questions do get a little bit graphic. We are talking about serial killers. We're not talking about puppy dogs. And I'm sorry for that. I did have to, take, kid gloves to some of the questions for this one. Kitty Coo! Hello, everyone. I can't stay. I'll have to rewatch. My dad is visiting. I only get to see him once a year for a few weeks. Sorry, I really was looking forward to this. It's all right, Kitty Coo. You have a great weekend. Brian Kohlberger gives me Bundy vibes. There are quite a few people, Tammy, that have actually compared him to Ted Bundy. And a lot of it's not because of the way he looks, but his arrogance. My brother and one of my brother's friends worked with Gary Ridgway when he worked at Kensworth. They said he was a nice guy. Yeah. He had a lot of people in society really fooled. Starfire, good evening. Welcome to tonight's trivia. He was rather twisted, going with C. We got D, and D, and I think I saw a B up there. Nope, that was just another D. Straight D's down the board. He started fantasizing about killing his mother when he was in middle school. He said that was the earliest time that he remembered being sexually attracted to his mother and that he wanted her to die. And he started fantasizing about ways to kill her. Yeah. Gary Ridgway. Smoke them if you got them. Mel's going with D, so is Purple. All right, question number 3. The correct answer is actually A as in apple. Stab her in the heart. He wanted to stab her in the heart because he thought the moment the heart was gone, that because she wouldn't give him the heart, the love, the attention that he deserved. He saw it as a symbolic symbol of, his heart was broken because he was sexually attracted to his own mother. She wouldn't reciprocate. So he was going to stab her in the heart and kill her. In middle school. This is what he started thinking about in middle school. Long before he ever went and joined the Navy and went to Vietnam, he was thinking about killing his mother. Quizzes are great, Will. Despite the subject matter, live streaming quizzes is fun. Well, thank you. I recall he bedwet a lot. His mother cleaned him up and he fantasized about her. Yeah. In the heart. Stab her in the heart. I think he was married multiple times. Yuck. Janice, he was married twice legally. Gary Ridgway was married twice legally, but he had a third wife that was in Washington State. It would have been considered a common law marriage, but they were not legally married under the sense of they got a marriage license and they went to either a court and got legally married, or were married by somebody who has the legal right to officiate an actual wedding. But he had 2 legal marriages and a third that was considered a common law marriage. Miss K, hey, Will and everyone, hope you are enjoying your Memorial weekend. Least we forget. Yes. All right, going on to question 4. Gary has a lot of current pen pals and former pals from prison. Pen pals from prison. Heck, I'm one of those former pen pals. What does Gary Ridgway require you do if you wish to write to him? Is it A, be approved by a fellow inmate? B, put $100 on his inmate account? C, be a female and send nudes? Or D, fill out a questionnaire? What does Gary require you to do to become a pen pal with him? D, 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 B. Tammy's going with, he's pretty arrogant. I'm thinking D. Gary Ridgway. What does Gary Ridgway require you to do if you want to write to him? Be his prison pen pal. He certainly has a lot less pen pals now than he did before. I don't think C would be allowed, says Janet. Pigeon Mac is D? Question mark. Mel says, I don't know. I'm guessing B. Put $100 on his inmate account. 20 seconds. Get your guess in. 9, 8, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The correct answer is D as in dog. Fill out a questionnaire. The questionnaire is got 5 questions on it. I had to fill it out. And the 5 questions are, who are you? The first question is, why do you want to write, or be a pen pal of mine is question number 2. Question 3 is about flowers. And the 4th question was about, how do you know who I am? What is your knowledge of me? And then the 5th question on the questionnaire is about, how do you feel about the U.S. prison system? He refuses to talk about his actual time in prison, and he also refuses to talk about his actual crimes. He puts that very clearly in the very first letter after you've sent him the questionnaire, if he accepts it. If he doesn't like your answers to the questions, I guess he just doesn't write you back. But he was originally in Walla Walla State Penitentiary here in Washington State. He has since been moved, but that's another question on the trivia tonight, so we'll get into that in a little bit. But when he was in Walla Walla, he actually wrote me. Now, you don't think of a piece of paper that is, with lines on it from a spiral notebook that you would have had in school. He writes so small, and so each and every line on there has 2 sentences, one running right on top of the other in each line. So think of like the font size 8. These are no bigger than the font size 8. So they're the whole thing is just filled on both sides of the piece of paper, just like that. And it was on yellow, legal note paper, one of the longer form ones. I know you like flowers. Yeah, that's one of the things he talked about that he missed the most was the flowers that that were growing outside of his last residency before he was arrested. It's annoying, yeah. But after he got transferred out of Walla Walla, he just stopped writing to me. But I have here in the filing cabinet, I have, I don't know, 3 letters. And he doesn't sign his letters. He just puts his initials at the bottom of it. All right, question 5. And here you will see the first actual accreditation. This question comes from Jane44, who does trivia on Reddit, YouTube, and Twitch. I know you can't see it because I'm here in my little box and I'm blocking the word Twitch. But Gary Ridgway confessed to killing 71 women. The FBI believes the number is closer to 90. How many did Ted Bundy believe he actually killed? Was it A, 80, B, 100, C, 110, or D, 60? How many did does Ted Bundy, well, in the past tense, how many did he believe Gary Ridgway actually killed? Gary confessed to 71, but how many did Ted Bundy think he actually killed? Geez, dude. That's a lot. Oh, yeah. And he's not even close to being the most prolific when it comes to American serial killers. Samuel Little is definitely up there for American serial killers. They believe his actual real body count is 90 plus. He confessed to a lot and drew a lot and painted a lot of pictures of victims who do not have names. But towards the end of Samuel Little's life, he couldn't remember where his mind was slipping because he was dying of cancer. But he would tell people, and the Texas State Troop, Texas Ranger, who came to talk to him, he would tell them little tidbits about killing a victim in this state, but he couldn't remember which one it was, based on the paintings and the pictures of the paintings of the different women that have been released. That's only a small portion of the drawings or paintings that he did of his supposed victims. Samuel Little. But Ridgway confessed to 71. Good God, protect me from S.K. Smith. B, D, C, B. Purple is going with B. How many did Ted Bundy believe that Gary Ridgway actually killed? Question number 5. And this is rated 5 out of 10. LMNOP. Amelia, hello, Pigeon Mac. Good to see you. I guess you're right, Amelia. It is Mac Pigeon backwards, though, isn't it? Not Pigeon Mac. But we know Pigeon Mac is, Pigeon Mac. You too. Green River Killer, Gary Ridgway. How many did Ted Bundy believe he killed? Both ways, either way, it all works. It's still you. All right, question number 5. The correct answer is B as in boy. Ted Bundy believed that he killed at least 100 people, but he believed that there were victims that he killed that he would never confess to because they were personal or special to him, just like himself. He never confessed to all of his murders. That was, but then again, Ted Bundy thought, that the state government, the federal government was bluffing, that they weren't really going to execute him because he hadn't confessed to all of his crimes yet. All right, question 6. Although I used to raise fancy pigeons as a kid for 4-H, they had long feathers on their feet. Oh. 3 rung for you, Mel? Dang. All right, question number 6. It's well-known fact Gary killed sex workers, runaways, drug addicts, and women he felt were vulnerable. Of all the sex workers he killed, he had one he didn't kill. Why did he not kill her? Was it A, she ran away from him? B, he liked her, she was good at her job? Or C, he felt sorry for her? Or D, he connected with her emotionally? We have C and D. Gotta be D. I have one right, and that was a guess. One sex worker he did not kill. Why did he not kill her? Question number 6. Six and Amelia is going with B. Purple's going with D. 8 seconds. Question number 6. The correct answer to this one is B as in boy. B as in boy. She was good at her job and he wanted to keep her around. She went by the street name Bunny, Bunny, Bunny. That's how he referred to her as her street name as a sex worker, Bunny. She's the only one he did not kill. All the others he beat and killed and buried. All right, question number 7. Countermeasures to not get caught. Gary often left small items to throw off law enforcement. This was something Ted Bundy helped them understand. What did Gary leave? Was it A, fake shoe prints, B, receipts he found, C, hair he collected from barber shop, or D, cigarette butts? You know nothing about Ridgway. This is fascinating. Well, I'm glad you're learning something, Pigeon Mac. He's a very unique serial killer. I can't imagine the life of a hooker. No, neither can I. But people get forced into it for a lot of different reasons. Degrading as hell. B, 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 C, B, B, B. Starfire's going with D. Pigeon, Birdie Mac. Good evening, Interpeas, and welcome to tonight's trivia. We are on question number 7. I'm stuck between C and D, both DNA evidence. E, dental impressions from Bundy. All right, the correct answer to question 7 is D as in dog, cigarette butts. He would collect them up on the sidewalk and from ashtrays outside of establishments, businesses, along with candy wrappers, gum wrappers, or bubble gum if he could find it. And he would leave these things to throw off law enforcement. So in case they did, now this is like the early 2000s, but DNA was just in its infancy. It's starting off. It wasn't as refined that it is now. But he would leave these things in areas around the victim. So in case law enforcement found them, it would throw off their trail on him. But he did a lot more countermeasures than just that. But you'll learn about those tonight. Question 8. Where did Gary Ridgway work full-time leading up to his capture? No, we are talking about where he said he worked, but where he really, not where he said he worked, but where he really worked. Talking about where he said he worked, but where he really worked. Was it McDonald's? B, Big Toe Auto Wrecking. C, Kenworth Trucking Company. or D, KFC? Where did Gary Ridgway really work? Interpeas, Kmart. Where did Gary Ridgway really work leading up to his capture? Rated 3 out of 10. Meals on Wheels, LOL. Starfire is going with B, Big Toe Auto Wrecking. All right, question 8. The correct answer is C as in cat. He really worked at Kenworth Trucking Company in, was it Redmond, I believe? But he worked for Kenworth Trucking Company. But when he was originally arrested by law enforcement, they'd already had him under surveillance. They already knew where he worked. But he told them that he worked for a mom and pop towing company. But that's why he was always traveling around the city in his truck. But he really worked for Kenworth Trucking Company. I believe it was in Redmond. Somebody said that their brother or brother's friend worked with Gary Ridgway. They probably know if it was Redmond or not. Pretty sure it was. Arthur Murray School of Dance and Funeral Parlor. He worked at the Seattle plant. Is that Redmond? Suburb area? All right, question 9. How many men were arrested and charged for the Green River murders before they eventually arrested Gary Ridgway for the crime? Was it A, 6, B, 3, C, 12, or D, 22? How many men were charged with the Green River murders before Gary Ridgway? The Wamish River area of Seattle. Mm. Interpeas 144,000. Star 5, B, Lori B, Gamma A, Rackart C. You a Peterbilt kind of soul? Yeah, I don't think we've ever asked Rackart. I know Rackart said that they do flatbed trucking, but never asked it. What kind of truck? Pretty bad police if it's D. Oof. How many men were arrested and charged for the Green River murders before they eventually arrested Gary Ridgway? Must be a low number. So Janet's going with B. Nope, Tammy, a Freightliner all the way. Aha. Mel, A, +2 mountain lions. Down in the area of the museum off of East Marginal Way. Oh, okay. I was thinking the year lapsed, maybe 3. All right, how many men were arrested and charged with the Green River murders before they eventually caught Gary and arrested him? The correct answer for question 9 is B as in boy, 3. One man was arrested because he had already had criminal convictions and was being prosecuted for assault for beating more than one prostitute, sex worker. Another was a man who was who frequented sex workers and matched kind of the profile of, the same type of pickup truck, the same build and likeness, and stature of Gary. And the third man was an African American man who I would almost 100% say that the arrest for him was nothing more than racial. They just didn't like this guy. He didn't have but 1 or 2 misdemeanor crimes on his record. But 3 men were arrested and charged with the actual charges of being the Green River murderer before they got to Gary. Just 3? Well, the mountain lion must have eaten the other 3. Damn, I'm useless as nuts on nuns on this one. Well, we got more questions. Never know. Freightliners are lighter, good on fuel, and I know DD214 engine very well. I can work on a Detroit. On Detroit diesels. All right, question 10. Sometime between Saturday, April 30th, 1983 and May 2nd, Marie Malvar was murdered. Her pimp boyfriend said it was Gary Ridgway. Why wasn't he arrested? Was it A, not enough evidence, B, wrong make of vehicle, C, dark and not a valid ID of driver, or D, police believed Gary's story? Sometime between Saturday, April 30th, 1983 and May 2nd, Marie Malvar was murdered. Her pimp boyfriend said it was Gary Ridgway. Why wasn't he arrested? I was one of Gary's victims that survived by the grace of God. Nada Jones, welcome. You're one of Gary's victims. I'm glad you survived, Nada Jones. E, Mountain Lion got him first. Wasn't she a wife? B? Starfire? A? Janice? I'll guess A. Not enough evidence. Amelia is going with D. The police believed Gary's story. Mel's going with D as well. It's a miracle you're alive. It is. I would say it is. Not too many people who crossed Gary's path over the years have lived to tell their tale. Damn A, purple D. DD2 DD15 diesel engines, Freightliner Cascadia. It's one of the few things I've never worked on, right, Cart? I've never worked on heavy diesel or heavy equipment. I mean, I follow a couple of different YouTube channels about it. I've always been interested in it, but I've just never worked on them. Page and Mac and D, question mark. Kelly Lisa, good evening, welcome. If I missed you earlier, Kelly Lisa's going with D. Juju positive, I'm sticking with D. Right card's going with C. All right, question 10. The correct answer is D as in dog. D as in dog. This is how this entire thing transpired with Marie Malva's boyfriend, who is also her pimp. Marie Malva was working the street like she had normally had done on April 30th, 1983. A pickup truck pulled up a half a block away from where her boyfriend was. He saw her get into the vehicle. Then he saw the driver of that vehicle reach over and strike Marie Malva in the head, and then the truck sped off. Now, he gave a description of the vehicle, a partial license plate, because he's running on foot after the truck. He gave a description of the man because he had been seen in the area quite often. And he went to the police immediately with the story about what happened. They said, well, she'll probably reappear because she is, after all, a sex worker. Not believing his story, but they tracked it down because of the information. They went to Gary's home. And when they were talking to Gary, Gary just quite frankly told the police, I don't know anybody but named Marie Malva, and I haven't left home at all today. And why would I do this? I'm an upstanding individual in my community. And the police are like, yeah, you're right. He doesn't come off as a creepy individual at all. And they believed his entire story, that it wasn't him and that it was a mistaken identity. And the truck is a very common truck, very common color. It probably was another truck that was different. And here is a junkie boyfriend, pimp, who gives this story. And they found Marie Malva later dead, obviously. But they didn't believe him, and they believed Gary. That's how he got away with it. All right, question 11. July 1980, Gary Ridgway was arrested for choking a runaway sex worker. The charges were dropped. Why were the charges dropped against him? A, the victim vanished. B, the police didn't believe the sex worker. Or C, another man was arrested for it. Or D, the victim lied to the police. July of 1980, Gary Ridgway was arrested for choking a runaway sex worker. The charges were dropped. Why did they drop the charges? Gary guy looks all bitter and grumpy. Life is short for that. Yeah, life is too short for that. Kelly Lisa, you were late. At least I didn't miss you. I'm sorry. Late as I didn't miss you because I forgot to say hello is what I meant. I missed you that you weren't here, but sometimes life gets in our ways. I understand that. Gemma's going with B. Juju is going with C. Pitcher Mac C. E, he said, Mountain Lion did it. July of 1980, Gary Ridgway was arrested for choking a runaway sex worker. B makes the most sense, says Janice. This is a 7 out of 10. That means very few people got this one right. His dumping ground was out here where I live. Ooh, purple. Ooh, we have one of those questions coming up. Lori Hobie is going with A, and welcome to tonight's trivia, Lori. Question 11. Purple going with A as well. 20 seconds. 20 seconds. 17, 16, 15. There's my cousin. Please welcome Lori Hobie. Well, welcome. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The correct answer to question 11 is A as in apple. The victim vanished. There was no victim, and they couldn't prosecute the charges against him, so they dropped him. But the victim reappeared later on after Gary Ridgway was arrested on the charges of being the Green River Killer. She reappeared. I don't think they spent a whole lot of time looking for her, but she did vanish. They couldn't find her to prosecute the charges, so they dropped them. And then when she reappeared, they were like, "Wow, fuck! I guess we should have, kept those charges after all." All right, question 12. Gary often changed the tires on his truck so the police couldn't identify the vehicle. Ted Bundy, in all his insight, gave FBI one tip that really helped crack the case. What was it? Was it A, find a body, leave it alone? B, he will leave you notes somewhere? C, look for pawned items of victims? Or D, look for men buying lipstick? What was the one clue that Ted Bundy gave the FBI that really helped crack this case? We got B and B so far. Kyra, Lori Hobie. Juju Positive is going with C. Starfire A, Purple B, Amelia C. Snitchy Bundy. If it wasn't, the FBI said later on, if it wasn't for Ted Bundy being the grandiose, individual he was, and him being willing to help the FBI and talk to him, they believed that probably Gary probably would have gotten away with the crimes for at least, another 2 or 3 years. And how many more victims would he have racked up in that time frame? They don't know. But excuse me. They believe they would have eventually caught Gary because DNA evidence was coming in, really into the forefront, and that was what was really going to crack the case. But he helped them, bring closure to the case a lot sooner than later. Gemma A, Tommy A, Reichardt B, Lori Sutton C. His neighbor Nate in all of his eyes. Mel C? Question mark. What is the one clue Ted Bundy and all his insight gave the FBI that really helped crack this case? He said they will always revisit their victims, says Starfire. What did Ted get out of it? Nothing. He got nothing. Except for that, he'd love to have to be the center of attention. He got that, and he knew that law enforcement was really stumped when it came to the case. Ted got a lot more out of it too. He got to read some of the files about the victims and kind of live through, vicariously through Gary. Tashkee Bundy, 69. Wonder if he revisited the bodies of the victims like Bundy did. We shall answer this question in a little bit here, Tammy. All right, question 12. The correct answer is A as in apple. Find a body, leave it alone. Gary always dumped the bodies after murdering them and did not bury them right away. He always came back to his victim. Tammy, he always came back to his victims. And he would come back visiting them over and over again until decomposition had set into the point where they were disgusting to him. So only then did he bury the body. And obviously, the bodies that would, he slowed down during the winter months, not because there was a lack of victims, it was because the cold weather and the season slowed the decomposition, so he could go longer revisiting the same, victim over and over again. I only got that one right because Bundy did the same thing. Yes. He raped me February 18th, 1987. I ended up having a boy in November of 1987. I'm so sorry about that. Nadia. You were 16 years old. I'm sorry, Nadia. I hope to God that there's some way that you've been able to deal with it over all these years. It has to be heartbreaking. My heart goes out to you. All right, question 13. This one is sickening. As we all know, Gary was married 2 times. And legally, remember, I told you also he had another wife that was a common law marriage. His second wife told police and the FBI they often went to the same places victims had been found prior. What was the reason the 2 of them went to these places? Was it A, to sit and drink wine? B, sit and listen to music and smoke weed? C, have sex? Or D, look for clues of victim or murderer? Why did they go to the places where victims had been found? We have C, C, and a B, another B, C, and C. Catalisa is chiming in with C as well. Again, it's C. December 9th, 2023. His name was Terrell. I know he was Gary's son. Oh, I'm sorry, Nadia, for the loss of your son. That's got to be hard on any parent. Miss K is, no, I'm changing to A. Sit and drink wine. Starfire, yuck, C. Question number 13. Why did Gary and his second wife go to the places where victims had been found? What an effed up case. Yes. JDR, good evening and welcome to tonight's trivia. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. I think he would go back to the body. Bundy would say that he would revisit the body. Yeah. Question number 13. Don't be sad for me. I had a beautiful son, and I forgave Gary in your heart. Forgive, but never forget. Well, I'm in Canada. Well, can't hold that against you, JDR. We can't hold that against you. I'm kidding. "16 seconds." Three, two, one. The answer to question number 13 is C as in cat, to have sex. They went to the places where victims had been found previously to have sex, is what she told the FBI and law enforcement afterwards when she was interviewed by them. They went to these locations where victims had been found previously to have sex. And they had sex in the same vehicle that he killed these women in. Yeah. Now she's got to live with that. That's got to be hard. Jeez Louise. All right, question 14. A yes or no question. Did Gary Ridgway have sex with the victims post-mortem, i.e. after they were dead? This comes from Murder Incorporated, from their stream on 3/1 of 19. This is the only time you will see a accreditation for something that is older than a year ago. Did Gary Ridgway have sex with the victims post-mortem, i.e. after they were dead? Without a damn doubt, says Tammy. Yes or no? You can either answer A or B, or yes or no. Where was the mountain lion? Didn't Bundy? JDR, you were absolutely correct. Ted Bundy did. Unless it was a victim that Ted Bundy had decapitated. The victims that Ted Bundy decapitated, he would go back to them and clean up their bodies, but he never had sex with them. According to him. That's the Ted Bundy. You have to remember when serial killers, killers in general, confess to things like that, we learn about them. You have to take it with a grain of salt. Are they really telling us the truth, or are they just telling us, what they think that we want to hear? So, and when it comes to like killers like John Wayne Gacy, there's a lot that he told people in interviews and stuff like that. It's all to make himself look better. A lot of them do that. Oh yeah, Bundy had standards. Silence of the Lambs stuff. Did Gary Ridgway have sex with the victim after they were dead? Tammy says without a doubt. The correct answer to question 14 is A. Yes, he most definitely did, until they had the decomposition had set into a point where he found them disgusting. Then he would bury them and then go out immediately looking for another victim. Yes, he did. Just like Ted Bundy. Freaking Barry Morphew lying. Sicko, it is. They're all sick. All right, question 15. After killing his victims, Gary used to take what he called a pleasure trip, where he drove around King County, visiting all the places he killed and buried women. What was the other purpose for this pleasure trip? Was it A, to self pleasure himself at each site? B, find new locations to kill? C, take photographs at each site? Or D, daydream about his next kill? What? I love to be a profiler. I don't know about being a profiler, but what's always gotten my interest, Tammy, is the psychology behind what makes this person do this. Why did this person kill instead of becoming, an upstanding member of society? And so many of these serial killers that we learn about that are out there that are known, they live double lives. A lot of people in their communities and society think that they're hardworking, they're upstanding, pillars of their community. You know, they're either they volunteer at their church. They may do a lot of things that just seem normal, and then we're really shocked when we find out, wow, this guy had 35, 40 people underneath his home, and he threw the rest of them off of a bridge because he ran out of places to bury them underneath his home. Or people like Gary, who seemed like a hardworking, family man, but he wasn't. To live in a van down by the river. Chris Farley. Understanding the victimology fascinates me, Will. Yeah. Yeah, that definitely, is, of interest to me as well. The victimology. And another thing that fascinates me, though, is how people on the internet will bash the victim, and it's like, oh, I'm smarter than that. I'd never would have gotten a car with that guy. Ted Bundy was ugly. I wouldn't have gone anywhere with him. You have to put yourself in the context of the time when this individual was alive and was doing the crimes that they were doing. Saying it, looking 20, 30, 40 years past when their crime sprees were happening. And a lot of them, they preyed upon the vulnerable parts of society, those who were just on the outskirts. They weren't mainstream. Then again, there's others that that love the thrill of kidnapping the one from from who was working their shift at Hardee's or wherever. Purple A, B, C, and D. If it was a pleasure trip, A makes sense, says Janice, because they can. Yeah. All right. Question number 15. The correct answer is B as in boy. B as in boy is the correct answer to number 15. He wasn't self-pleasuring himself at each site. He was scoping out new locations to kill. New locations, because topography changes depending upon the season. Again, he needed to find new locations where he could kill, dump the bodies, come back, and be able to figure out ways of entry and exit so he could come back and visit his victims where it wouldn't alert the authorities to him being there. So to look for new locations to kill. in a Bundy heyday, when children were raised to be very respectful and obedient, glad I was taught differently. Bundy was a shy little guy. Oh, that's all right, Mel. All right, and now for your bonus question. Gary Ridgway was originally sent to Walla Walla State Penitentiary in Washington State in January of 2004, 3 short years after his arrest and plea deal. He has since been moved. He now spends 23 hours a day in solitary confinement cell with a frosted glass window he will never be able to see out of. Where is he? Is it A, Pelican Bay Prison, B, Dodge Corrections Center, C, USP Florence, or D, Chesapeake Supermax ADX? If I was a serial killer, I would hide my bodies in a deep abandoned mines. I guess that'd be a good place to put them. Here where I live in eastern Washington, we have former Minuteman missile silos. And there've been some people who've killed people and thrown them down in these missile man silos. But a mine would be a good hiding place, I guess. Under Chris Watts. Like I was going with D. Calalisa A. People lie. Behavior is my favorite saying in these cases. D is Supermax, looking for the next one true. E, I'll have to go my previous answer. Alex, in a van, down by the river, with a mountain lion on meth. Crack me up in a piece. Starfire is going with D as well. Chesapeake Supermax ADX. Hello, interpedes a Yugoslavian man made van. A Yugo. Did Yugo make vans? I don't know. It was a Bobcat, says JDR. Bonus question. Where is Gary Ridgway currently living? Originally sent to Walla Walla State Penitentiary. I don't know. I'm going to Google it. I don't even know how far Walla Walla is from me. $59 miles. I am 59 miles from Walla Walla. Didn't know it was legal to be in solitary that long. It is completely legal. 23 hours a day. He's allowed 1 hour out for recreation or to shower. The window in his cell is approximately 6.5 feet from the floor, and it's frosted over, so you can't see out. All you can tell is it's daylight or nighttime. He can't see out of it. And even if he did, there isn't much for him to look at. Don't go out bicycling because a mountain lion will completely disappear you. Tammy Ridgway had a large place where he dumped his bodies better than mine. He is kept in solitary confinement to prevent other inmates from offing him. Yeah, you don't want one of those accidental suicides from happening to Gary Ridgway. All right, the bonus question. Where is Gary Ridgway now? The correct answer is C as in cat. He is at USP Florence in Colorado. USP Florence. It is a Supermax. I was 30 miles off. Court of public opinion. All right. Welcome to tonight's trivia. We just finished all the questions. You can watch and rewind though if you want. How did you do tonight on the trivia? A, 12 to 15. B, 8 to 11. C, 4 to 7. D, 1 to 3 correct. Or E, mountain lion correctness level. Please keep in mind this is just for fun. You are not playing against anyone else. Have fun learning about the subject matter of the trivia. How many did you get correct? I'm not from the U.S. I have no idea about locations of prisons. Amelia, one of the suggested questions is about criminals from other countries outside of the United States. I'll try to find it here. Maybe you suggested it yourself. I don't know. I have to find it first. There it is. I do not have a name on it. Who suggested it? Murders and crimes from outside the U.S. and the prison sentences for those individuals. How it differs from the U.S. Maybe we'll eventually cover one, murders and prisons and sentences of something that you do know about that is from your location. I'm in the U.S. and I don't know of the locations of prisons. And it's me. Or Fred and Rosemary West. Oh, the West. Yeah, they're on. I have the suggestion for the West. B or C, but I'll keep track next time. Mel, you don't have to keep track. It's just some people want to keep track, so they know, how well do I know enough about this individual and their crimes. That prison is right next to Denver, Colorado. Florence, yeah, it's a pretty big thing there. I mean, not only but in sheer size, but employment in that area. I've driven past it. I've never been there. I mean, obviously, but I've driven past it well before, Gary was ever moved there. My sister used to live in Greeley and then in Fort Collins, and now she lives closer to Denver. But I've been all over that part of state of Colorado. Thanks for another fabulous night, guys. Well, thank you, Tammy. I'm glad you could be here with us to enjoy this. If you're taking off, I hope you have a wonderful week. I'm happy if I get one right. LOL, Amelia. Is there a subject matter that you know, or a case that you'd like to see trivia on, Amelia? A murder or something like that? I always have a great time here, Mel. This is Mel. Do you know why he was moved? Yes, Nadia, I do. He was moved from Walla Walla State Penitentiary to Florence because of other inmates within the prison, and they believe that there may have been a call to have him taken out. A hit possibly had been placed upon Gary, but they were never really able to prove that. But they needed to move him someplace where within the prison system that had availability for security and where he could be protected from other inmates. I have to think about it. It'll post it in the comments section. All right, you do that, Amelia. Thank you. Nana, not Nadia. Oh, did I say that? Did I say Nadia? I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Well, thank you, JDR. Ed Kemper for president in 2024. I find Ed Kemper to be one of the more interesting serial killers out there. I mean, I always wonder what would happen if Ed wouldn't have gone in that direction, if his mother hadn't been so awful to him his entire life, and he was able to use his intelligence and everything else for something different. Because the man he's a brilliant individual. He'll never let them finish an IQ test on him, so we never will know exactly how where his intelligence level is, but it's up there. He's definitely in the upper, like 10%. Can Gary Ridgway get out? Oh no, never. He will die in prison. Um, his plea deal has no possibility of parole ever. He is going. He is going to die in prison. He's there forever. Love my 4-in-1 Now family. Absolutely love Sunday nights. So glad Saturday morning is coming back. Yes, it is. We just had the first live yesterday. It's now called Coffee Brew. Saturday morning coffee brew, where I picked 6 different questions that have been asked and I tried to answer those 6 questions. I deep dive into the answers for all 6 of them. This week, where's my notes for that? Ah, here it is. This week was Lori Vallow, Brian Kohlberg, and well, there are three different ones on Lori Vallow and her sentencing. Lori on conspiracy charges, in Arizona. Her conviction on the charges that she was just convicted of. Then Brian Kohlberger, and then Jared Lasik. Those were the questions that people asked. So, and I just picked the questions out of the comment section on videos that I did the week before, and I deep dive into them. I have to give myself a week to research the answers. Some of them have really simple answers, and some of them are a little bit more difficult. So, Astacada, he gives me another IQ test, which gave a higher result of 145. Mel gives me a different spin. To us, will all be created equal. I sure don't Want the mind of a murderer. No. Peace and everything. Sorry that. Yeah, I'm sorry too that Nanda lost her son. I don't know what I would do if I ever lost either one of my two children. Children are supposed to bury us, not the other way around. But Nanda Jones, if he does by chance get out, I'm safe in my country. Oh, there's no way Gary Ridgway is ever getting out. You can rest assured about that. Even if he wouldn't have taken the plea, his confessions alone would keep him in prison forever. And part of his plea deal that he took, he went with law enforcement, and they went to each and every place that he could remember where he buried bodies. And some of those places they had absolutely no idea that there had ever been anyone buried at. He did use some general locations of like, like, oh, I know I buried like 4 or 5 of them over here next to this riverbank or this hill, but other areas they where they found those victims, but other areas that he had, take them to, he's like, yeah, right here, along this, I buried one, and they had no idea. The ground was never disturbed, or no one ever reported that anybody would, had disturbed the ground there. But that was part of his plea deals. He took them to the locations where he buried all of these women. Now they never were able to find all 71 of the victims that he confessed to. But he's definitely, don't worry, he is never getting out. It's cool. It's like a roundup of current cases straight to the point. Yes, it is. That was for Kemper, the IQ test of 145. I think it'd probably be higher than that, but it could be 145. I'd put it closer to probably 160, somewhere in there. But I don't know. I mean, who am I? We lost my brother, my parents, my family, never recovered, but we moved forward. I was talking to a friend of mine just the other night, and as I get older, the one thing that that getting old, I mean, older, it's not the best. I mean, look, our bodies are starting to break down. Every morning I get out of bed and it's like, everything hurts, or, the aches and ohs and woes of getting older. But the one thing that I really didn't prepare for was how many of my friends I would have to bury. And it doesn't get any easier. And I'm talking about my friends. I mean, I've only had to bury one sibling, and I miss my sister immensely, but I don't know what would happen to me if I had to get to that point where I had to bury my own child. I don't know how I would deal with it, because again, that's just something that I just can't fathom. But it could happen. I know it can happen. I used to have nightmares that he would get out and finish the job on me. Oh, I'm sorry. We have a law here now that they don't get parole if they don't give up the body. Ooh, that's a good rule. Good law. You know, at least if they give up the body, you know, the family can start to, you know, to have some closure. Happy Memorial Day, everyone. You as well, Reichardt. Thank you, Will, and everyone. Thank you for being here. Have a great weekend. You as well, Inner Peace. Well, ladies and gentlemen, before you take off, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button, if you will, please. I don't ask for much from anyone except for, to give this a thumbs up. Share it with your friends if you think that they might be interested in crime trivia. And we do this every Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here in the U.S., obviously. But I hope that each and every one of you has a terrific week going forward. Awful that I am not ever your loved ones. I can't even imagine. Neither can I, Amelia. Well, thank you again, everyone. I'm going to wrap this up here. Again, thank you again to each and everyone who is new, and we clearly had more people here in the stream than they commented. I hope we at least get to 20 thumbs up for today's Green River Killer. And don't forget, on Monday morning, tomorrow, you will have another trivia question that will be posted to the community tab here on my YouTube channel. And you can kind of get an idea from that what the trivia questions next Sunday will be about. It's a mystery until then. What will be next week's trivia question? So tomorrow, look for that at 10 a.m. That question post to the community tab. Well, thank you again, everyone. And let's have a terrific week and a happy rest of your Memorial Day weekend. Bye.